What's up, YouTube? Bay Area Baller 18 back again. The NFL draft has concluded. I'm here with my man, Jeff Hardison. Jeff, how you doing?
What's up, man? I'm doing really good, man. We had a hell of a draft. We got a lot of stuff to talk about here. So I'm excited that the wait is over. And now we're finally at the point where we can just start to pick these players apart and figure out who the heck do we got. So this is going to be awesome.
Yep, it's been 24 hours or so since the last pick has been made. So we've had some time to digest the picks. I've dove in and, watched some film on all these guys. So
Yeah.
let's get this thing started. First round, pick number 3. We took a quarterback, Trey Lance from North Dakota State.
Oh,
Big
yeah.
time upside. Jeff, I want to do draft grade. So let me hear what you gave Trey Lance.
I'm giving Trey Lance an A+ draft grade. I am beyond excited. And some people might go, well, Jeff, what's going on, man? I mean, you were a Fields guy, and now are you jumping on a bandwagon? What's going on with this here, man? Here's the thing, man, is the 49ers traded, as we all know, 3 first-round picks and a third overall to be able to move up to number 3 and take a quarterback. The guy that we didn't want was Mac Jones. And it's not because I hate Mac Jones as a quarterback. You guys probably saw our quarterback rankings. We spoke very highly of Mac Jones, but he doesn't provide that athletic upside that you're looking for and trading all of those draft assets. So it takes a lot of courage to move up. It takes even more courage to take the guy with the athletic upside that maybe needs to be molded a little bit and groomed and brought along just a tick. But it takes, like I said, a lot of courage to do that. And I'm happy that they did it because the rewards could be very, very sweet. So they had their choice. They had their choice between Mac Jones and obviously Trey Lance and obviously Justin Fields. So Trey Lance was their guy. That's who they wanted. And it, like I said, I'm a supporter of any team that's not going to cave into pressure one way or another and just goes for the guy that they truly want. We thought it was Mac Jones and we were worried about that, but it turns out we were all wrong and it was Trey Lance, and I couldn't be more happy about it.
Absolutely, Jeff. When we're talking Lance, he's got those big time physical traits. He's got the arm, he's got the legs, he's got the physically imposing size that you love to see in your quarterback. And I'm with you. Originally, I had Fields higher up on the list, but when I dove back in and watched more Trey Lance, what you see that he does that Justin Fields doesn't do is Trey is willing to check the ball down and take what the defense gives you to keep the chains moving. Whereas Fields, and rightfully so, he has a great arm, but he's looking downfield. He really wants to push it down the field, and those throws get completed at a lower rate, in the NFL at least.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think that Trey is a great fit for our offense because we like a lot of the short, quick hitters, but he can also give you that bomb because he does have a cannon, and the mobile aspect is phenomenal. This offense is going to be dynamic. I already went back and started watching some 2012 Washington football team with RG3 and Kyle Shanahan as the OC just to figure out what's Kyle going to do with the mobile quarterback.
Right.
And you see a lot of the pistol. You see a lot of the read option. You see some QB power. I mean, this is stuff that you can't do with Jimmy Garoppolo. So our offense is going to be so fun to watch and so dynamic. We should be one of the top rushing teams in the NFL.
Absolutely. We're going to hit on that. I think that's going to be a theme of how we break these guys down. So as far as Trey Lance is concerned, what I'm really advocating for is don't put this guy on a specific timeline. Look, if he's ready to go week 1 and he is the clear-cut best quarterback on your roster, then play him. I'm not going to say not to. But don't put this guy under pressure, even because we gave up all of this draft capital, that we have to play this guy week 1. It looks like we're keeping Jimmy. I actually think that's a good idea to keep Jimmy right now, because trading Jimmy during the draft, what would that have actually netted you? Like a 4th round pick, maybe 5th round pick? How much is a 4th or 5th round pick in and of itself going to change your team's future? Whereas having Jimmy on the team allows you the convenience of being able to bring Trey Lance along at whatever pace he comes along at. You got to remember who you have. And I caught some flack for this, and maybe people thought I was really, really down on Trey Lance. But I'm all about evaluating the prospect for who he is. look, this is a guy who started 1 year in high school, started 1 year in college at North Dakota State. His tape is amazing. His athleticism is amazing. He's incredibly intelligent. He's a very, very high character guy. So he has all of the things you're looking for in spades. It's just all about making sure we put everything together. Additionally, his accuracy is a major concern as well. And people are talking like, hey, he's been working with a quarterback coach for over 5 months. And these issues are resolved. Well, we're going to find out if they're resolved when training camp comes to play. And even OTAs, you're going to start getting an idea of where his footwork is at, because that was a big part of his accuracy. If he can fix that, watch out, because this guy has a rocket arm. He's incredibly mobile. And I feel that he's going to be able to digest that Shanahan offense because he's so intelligent and reacts well under pressure, handles himself with a lot of maturity. Well beyond a guy who's 20, 21 years old. So I couldn't be more excited about it. But like I said, just he's the future of your franchise. Invest in him and take your time in bringing him along as needed. And I think you're going to reap the rewards of that patience, because it certainly is a virtue.
I agree with you 100%, because a lot of teams aren't fortunate enough to have a quarterback like Jimmy you feel capable of starting. Like you look at the Jets, you know Zach Wilson's going to be starting day one. They don't have that. They don't have that option. And Trey Lance's rookie season, you got to get him on the field in some capacity, right? In the red zone, give him some touches, because that was another thing I picked up on with RG3. Down in the red zone, Shanahan loved to call the QB draw, and they were pounding it in. So that's a great option. You got to get him on the field. Get him some experience, do the Drew Brees, Taysom Hill kind of thing.
Totally. I think that's a fantastic point. I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable at all to suspect that even if he's not named, let's say, the starter right off the bat, that you get this guy some sort of a play package, 8 to 10 plays a game, things that you're designed to. I'm not trying to say that we need to run him exactly like Taysom Hill. I'm not an advocate for trying to put your, number 3 overall quarterback, you invested all this stuff in him, in a position where he's just going to run the ball up the gut. And because I don't want to get this guy hurt. I mean, I know he's a big guy. He's a strong guy. He's a tough guy. I'm not doubting anything about that, but don't get this guy hurt, because the one thing that could happen to him that will hurt his development is injury, major injuries. So definitely bring him in, roll him out, do some creative stuff with him, give the defenses, opposing defenses in the NFL, something else to plan for every week, which would definitely be helpful. Because if you have to plan for 8 to 10 plays that this other guy's going to come in and holy crap, we got a completely different guy under center, that could be really dangerous and lethal in and of itself. And it gives Trey Lance, the opportunity to get some true game time experience, which is really what he needs. But yeah, don't run him too much. I want this guy to be healthy. I want him to develop, and I want him to become the quarterback that he's really has the ability to become.
Yeah, we've seen some mobile QBs get hurt in the past, and luckily it hasn't happened to Lamar, because that was something I was concerned about with Lamar and how often he runs. But yeah, RG3, he had the devastating knee injury. Even Mike Vick missed some time. I believe it was a knee injury. That was way back. But something I noticed with Trey Lance is that he does not slide. I've watched every one of his snaps, every one of his runs that I could find. And not once is he protecting himself, getting down. I mean, he runs out of bounds, when you can, but more often than not, he's lowering the shoulder, trying to get yards after contact, which isn't something you want to ask your quarterback to do too often.
No, you don't. So yeah, that's something to watch out for. And you're going to have to train this guy to slide. And you love a guy who's like, no, I'm going to lower my shoulder and just truck this dude. I love a guy like that. I love that physicality. That's going to be infectious in the locker room, because the players know, who's who on this team and what guys have inside of their chest. But, you really want to make sure that you really coach this guy up. Hey, we don't want you taking hits. You are the franchise. Trey Lance is the franchise player for the San Francisco 49ers. Like it, love it, hate it, anywhere in between. But that's the truth. And so you got to protect this guy. And make sure that, you keep him upright and don't get him hurt and allow him to develop.
You gave the pick an A+. I gave it an A. Let's move to our second pick, which was our second round, pick 48, Aaron Banks out of Notre Dame.
Yeah, surprising pick to me. It surprised everybody. So let's talk about Aaron Banks for a second,
Give me
because
your draft grade. What'd you give the pick?
so I give the pick a B plus. I give it a B plus. I liked the
Me
pick a lot.
too. Me
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah. I liked the pick a lot. It was a good pick, a solid pick in the second round. I think they didn't get I don't think they got a steal off of him, but I think that they got great solid value for him, which I'm totally fine with. I'm not faulting them for that. But listen to this. He's a 6'5", 338-pound guard, left guard. So
Massive.
massive man. He is a professional people mover. That is what he does. He is like the type of guy that you would have expected Jim Harbaugh to draft when he was the head coach of the 49ers, that power run type of individual. And so he was really slotted to go to a team like the Steelers, for example, that run that type of physical run game. So it really kind of starts to show a makeup of what are the 49ers exactly doing? What is it that Shanahan is trying to do? And I think he's looking to pivot into.
There's a shift.
There's a shift.
I also sense that shift. Yeah, keep going, Jeff.
Yeah, there's a really interesting shift that I think is happening because, look, we all know what type of offense the Shanahan runs. Everyone talks about the outside zone run type of scheme. And, lots of jet sweeps and getting players, the ball in space and lots of speed, things of that nature. But what I think he's lacked is the inside zone run. And I think that that's what they want to do. Because one thing that this guy it's really special about him, you'd think with a guy that size, he can't move. He actually can move. The guy improved a lot last year in 2020 when it comes to getting to the second level. And it was really, really impressive because, they listed him at like 320 pounds over at Notre Dame. And it was like, you just looked at him and you're like, I don't know about that.
He's huge.
This guy might be 350. This guy is huge. But he moved around really well and surprisingly quick. Something that's really cool. He is a large, physical, mean individual. This guy plays with that grit and that mean streak. He is a bully and he likes to be a bully. And as far as our offensive line is concerned, I think that is going to be a very welcome addition to what the Niners offensive line has been like, especially if you put him next to Mike McGlinchey. Maybe he could rub off on him a little bit. Hey, I'm a Notre Dame guy. You're a Notre Dame guy. Let's show us what these Indy guys are all about, and let's go take some dudes' heads off. Because that's the kind of guy that he is, and that makes it really exciting. So, he's a really effective down blocker as well. So being able to open up runs or lanes in the inside zone is going to be something I think he'll be very successful with early on. Something that's kind of sneaky, and no one's talking about this as well with him, is that he did fill in spot coverage at left tackle. So there were some injuries on the offensive line at Notre Dame last year. He was able to fill in admirably at left tackle at certain times. So it is possible and conceivable that he could eventually move to right tackle. He has that level of upside in his athletic ability. But his best position might just be left guard. So it'll be really interesting to see where they go as far as rearranging the lineup, because a lot of times teams don't like doing that, especially when you see teams bring other offensive linemen during the season. They like to replace one position, not two positions. So if a guy's natural position is center or left guard and you need to replace the right, they'll put that left guard replacement at right guard, because they don't want to replace two positions because you're trying to maintain continuity. So it'll be interesting to see what the shakeup is on the offensive line if they bring him in just to compete at right guard with Brunskill. But I'm excited about the pick. And the fact is, the matter is this with this pick is that they traded back when they did this. So they obtained, not only did they get this player, but they also got an additional 4th round pick, which allowed them to do some other interesting stuff in this draft. So I think it's a very solid pick. There were some other great players on the board at the time, but it definitely fills a need. And I give it a very, very solid B+.
I also gave it a B+. And Aaron Banks, first let me talk about Laken Tomlinson. He's on the last year of his deal,
right?
And Brunskill, I also believe he's on the last year. So these are guys that could be gone potentially next year. You want to solidify that interior O-line, and that's
Right.
what Aaron Banks is doing from Notre Dame. I got some notes on him. He was first team All ACC, and before this video earlier today, I was like, man, I got to check out this guy Banks. And so I watched the ACC championship game. It was Notre Dame versus Clemson, and I had my eyes solely focused on the left guard, Aaron Banks. And this guy held his own. Rep in and rep out. He's doing his job.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I got another note here. What I noticed is he keeps his head on a swivel.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see the left tackle will be engaged with the D end, and he's feeling him. He'll help out the left tackle. Then he sees a blitzing linebacker. He can shift off that player and move to the blitzing linebacker. He's really got good spatial awareness and good vision at seeing who's rushing. Does the center need help? Okay, let me kick over and help out the center. So I really loved Aaron Banks' awareness. And we mentioned how massive he is. That was the first thing when I put on the tape. It's like, oh my God, this guy is gigantic. And
it's huge.
Hey, Jeff, at his pro day, his 3-cone was in the 61st percentile. So that tells you is he's got good feet. He had a better 3-cone than over half the other linemen. And this guy is a hulking huge size. So he's got good feet for his size.
Yeah, you can tell he is a natural athlete. This isn't just a big, huge guy that you're just going to stick in the middle of your line and just hope that he can slow some people up. I mean, this is a guy who can move. He has extremely violent hands as well off the line of scrimmage, which I love. He's going to end up having to go up against guys like Aaron Darnold, which is going to be a problem for anybody. But he's going to give him problems as well, especially as he continues to develop. So a hell of a pick, man. He's a really, really interesting round 2 guy to bring in. I'm excited.
In 461 pass blocking reps this past season, 0 sacks.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
He's a stud. He lacks sometimes in his technique. Sometimes he has reps where he regresses in his technique. And I think, but at the same time, every year at Notre Dame, he got better. So, you like to see that trend of every year taking a step, and he's that guy. He hasn't regressed. So there's a good chance that he's going to take a couple more big steps in the NFL, especially with the offensive line coaching that we have. I think we're in a good position.
Let's move to our 3rd round pick 88. It was Trey Sermon out of Ohio State. What grade did you give the pick?
Wow, what a pick. So I give it an A-.
Jeff, talk about our picks ahead of time, because I also gave the pick an A-.
Yeah, it's a hell of a pick. I was really happy with it. So check this out, man. So 49ers go ahead. They have this extra 4th round pick from trading back in the 2nd round. So what do? They trade both of their 4th round picks. They jump back into the end of the 3rd round, and they take Trey Sermon, running back from Ohio State. This is a really interesting pick. He is 6 foot and almost 6 foot and a half, 215 pounds. He's a big dude.
Yes.
Another big guy. So we're talking about Aaron Banks, Trey Lance, running, physical. Aaron Banks, running, physical, mauler, 2nd level guy. Beats people up. Trey Sermon beats people up. Sorry. I'm excited. You could tell.
Yes.
Can't even talk. So yeah, he beats people up. This is a physical downhill runner. Look, people want to hit on this guy for his 40. It was a 4.61 40. Mm-hmm. But he is more quick than he is fast. But you can tell one from his tape, and then his numbers match his tape. So here's some of his numbers. 37-inch vert. 125-inch broad jump, which is about 10 and a half feet. He had a 6.83 3-cone. And check this out. He had a 1.48 40-yard split. He has a lot.
That's a 10-yard split?
10-yard split, 1.48 seconds.
Yeah.
So that is a lot of acceleration. Now, this is a torque monster. This is not this isn't a downfield sprinter. This is he is 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds. You know what I mean? He is extremely low in power. And he's that guy that's going to be able to now execute the inside zone running scheme, because now you got the back that can do it. He does have that quickness to hit the edge. So people want to say, well, 4.61, he wouldn't fit Kyle Shanahan's system. I don't think so. You need to be able to get to the corner fast in an outside zone. This guy can do it. And he showed you on tape in the Big Ten that he can do it. He had an interesting college career, though. He started at Oklahoma. He was there for 3 years?
3 years, yeah.
3 years at Oklahoma, but they always had a rotational backfield. It was a running back by committee over there at OU. He had a weird year his junior season where he had 54 carries. Which I think is what caused him to say, screw this, I'm out. I'm going to go somewhere where they'll play me. And then he had an interesting 2020. Some game, he really wasn't utilized that much throughout the course of the season.
He started out early in the season as the number 2, and he ended up taking over. I think it was about midway through the year.
Right. And he never looked back. And he had some big time games versus Clemson, versus Northwestern. He had some big time games. Those games where Justin Fields was struggling, the reason why they won those games was because of Trey Sermon running the rock. He would rip off a 17-yard run when they're, a 3rd and 14. This is the kind of guy he is, and so he really carried that team through some very important parts of their season. But when he was featured, when he did get over 20 touches, this guy was unstoppable. Absolutely unstoppable. At one point, I think what he had like 330 yards in one of his games and like a couple touchdowns. It was nuts. It was video game numbers, Madden numbers are things that he had. So when he was actually given the opportunity to be the back and run the rock over 20, 25 times, he was unstoppable. So really excited about that pick. Hell of a guy to add to the rotation. And the fact that you did it by just grabbing a 4th and an extra one that you got from the Raiders, sweet, really sweet, really nice move, very savvy move by Lynch and company. And I'm excited about it. What do you think?
Jeff, when I'm watching Trey Sermon, the power, the vision, and the deceptive shiftiness. He's not a guy who's gonna break down like Barry Sanders and juke you, but he's got deceptive shiftiness. He can make you miss in a phone booth.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I love about him.
Great description.
He can have his stiff arm montage. Phenomenal. Jeff, this guy is mean. He's just throwing DBs, linebackers. If you don't wrap this guy up and get a firm grip on him, you're not bringing him down.
Reminds me of Marshawn Lynch in that way. Just that how physical he is. He just adamantly refuses to go down. And I love that in him.
Shanahan loves those guys who run hard, right? I mean, you see runner. Jeff Wilson runs hard. Raheem runs hard. Trey Sermon runs hard.
The problem with some of these guys is that they're smaller dudes. But the thing is, Trey Sermon, he's a big guy. 215 pounds with that kind of, with a 1.48 for 10-yard split coming at you. Watch out. That'd be like that's like kissing the Midnight Express, man. That ain't gonna work. That's a bad afternoon. I run for my life. I just lay down.
Shoot, I don't want to tackle that.
I don't want none of that. No way, man. I want none of that. So, that's going to be exciting. So once again, you can really, once they picked up Trey Sermon, I was like, okay, now I really know what you guys are doing. Yeah, the jig's up now and what the 49ers are looking to do. And the next step of the evolution of this Kyle Shanahan offense, this is going to be really exciting.
I agree. We had another pick in the 3rd round.
We did.
102. Ambry Thomas out of Michigan. We got our corner. It was a need for both of us, and this was our pick for the cornerback position. What grade did you give it?
I gave him an A-. Okay. I really, really liked the pick because it's relieving when you see your team filling needs that are legitimate on your squad. So they really took a step there. it sounds like that I have some interesting quotes. There's a lot of information in Ambry Thomas, which really means me to show they really, really liked the guy. So 5'11", 191 pounds, 4'3", 740, 38 vert, 10 foot 2 inch broad jump. So he's an explosive athlete.
He had a phenomenal pro day. This guy killed it at his pro day.
Very fast. So here's a John Lynch quote. You look at outside corner, and there were guys at the top, Lynch said, and then it was okay. Adebo. So Paulson Adebo is the guy that they were looking at. He went a few picks before that. I think like 10 picks or so before this one. And then the other one was going to be Ambry. And so he really grew on him. He had glowing reports from the Michigan staff, which, okay, take it with a grain of salt. Everyone's going to pump up their guys, but they really, really liked him over there at Michigan. So as a junior,
you'd be surprised. I've heard some stories, strength and conditioning guys. Those are the guys you want to talk to.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? This guy's not a weight room jack. Hey, this guy is work ethic. But it's good to hear they're saying good things about the kid.
Yeah, really. Everyone loved him over there and what he brought to the table. So as a junior, he tallied 38 tackles, 3 interceptions, 3 pass breakups, and perhaps more impressively, returned in time to start the season opener after battling colitis. So, he was hospitalized. So this is a tough guy. He wants to play football. He's going to battle through things. And it caused him to lose a significant amount of weight due to that illness. So that was an interesting thing that he did there. Had a hell of a year. He was a 2020 opt-out, which leads me to believe, it was an interesting thing because normally to get value in players, right, you got to get an injured guy. You got to go for the Trent Baalke ACL team, right? And this was a very unique year for a lot of reasons, but it's unique because you can get value in players later on in the draft through other means because of these 2020 opt-outs. So I think this is a guy that easily could have snuck into the second round if he had played in 2020 because he's a really impressive athlete. He had 38 total tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 3 INTs, 3 pass deflections, couple fumble recoveries. So some of the notes I had on him though were he's physical in coverage with his hands, so he's a good press corner. And he actually has the speed and explosiveness to be able to mirror guys down the field. Immediately, I think he projects as a rotational player, a nickel guy, but he definitely has the potential to progress himself to an outside corner. So I gave it overall an A-. It fills a need. He has the upside to be able to become a starter on this team, and I think he can play immediately in different facets on the defensive squad and the special teams perhaps too. Because with that speed and that explosiveness, he could be a gunner right off the bat.
Definitely. And this was my lowest grade, actually. It was my lowest.
Okay.
And that was only because there's some unknown to this guy. He was a 1-year starter at Michigan. As you said, he opted out last year. He only had 57 targets at him his whole career at Michigan. So
they were thrown to the other side.
It's a good point. They were
thrown to the other side. All the films I watch on him, you're dead on. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, they straight up would not throw to that side of the field. It was very rare whenever they would throw to his side of the field, and it just made you show. It just went to show. It's just like other teams really respected his talent and his ability. And he, as far as Michigan is concerned, he was a lockdown corner. He was on an island.
Yes, and this pick has a lot of potential. What I'm saying is he feels a little bit green, but he has the physical traits. That's why I like it in the third round. You mentioned the 38 vertical, the 4.37 40-yard dash. He killed it at his pro day. That's where I think this guy really caught the attention of probably not only the Niners, but a lot of GMs.
Totally.
And you mentioned the kick return duties. He popped a couple nice kick returns. I don't know if he's going to be, the kick returner for the Niners. But I got a guy who we drafted a little bit later, I think might be able to fill that kick return spot. But let's move to our next pick. And it was in round 5, pick 155, Jaylon Moore out of Western Michigan.
Yes. So I was really impressed with this. So I actually gave this another A. I'm loving this draft. This is the best draft this team has had in a very long time. Fantastic pick in the middle of the 5th round. It's great. So 6'4", 311, 33 and a third inch arms, 11-inch hands. Holy shit. Sorry. But holy cow. 11-inch hands. I don't even know if I've seen a human being with 11-inch hands. That is really crazy.
It's almost a foot long on his hand.
Well, it's like, dude, the guy could palm my head. You know, like that's insane. Wow. So he was a starting left tackle for 3 seasons, so he has a lot of experience. And here's some things that they said about him. He has the ability to play multiple positions on the line. He snapped the ball even as a center at his pro day. He wanted to show that versatility because they know coming out of West Michigan, might have some trouble becoming a left tackle immediately in the NFL. So he wanted to show he could be that guy. He wasn't asked to pull much in college. As far as run blocking is concerned, but he does have a lot of athletic ability. And here's a quote from his coach. I watched him get out in front of the running back, and then I watched him get out in front of the running back, and the running back didn't pass him for 15 to 20 yards because he was moving. That was the moment I knew he had that athleticism. So, here's more of this guy is a little bit more traditional Kyle Shanahan, very athletic offensive lineman. So they're matching. It's really going to be interesting how they're matching power with speed. And I'm really excited to see how this goes together. I have, this guy has all the potential in the world to really translate into a hell of a rotational player. This is a potential swing tackle going forward for the team. And that we're in dire need of a good swing tackle. And I think he provides great depth. In the middle of the 5th round. I mean, what do you want in a guy? If he was a guy that was, played at Alabama at left tackle for 3 seasons and he was, all AC, all SEC or whatever, then yeah, he would be a 1st round pick. But, we're in West Michigan and we're also in the 5th round. I'm happy with it. That's a great pick. And it fills a need, and they went heavy O-line, heavy corner. Love it.
Absolutely. I agree with a lot of what you said. This guy's got some serious movement skills. And at the press conference, Shanahan alluded to it that he sees him as a guard, potentially. He's a guy who could play multiple roles, but it sounds like they're going to give him a shot at guard initially. And he was recruited as a tight end. So when he was going to Western Michigan, it was as a tight end, moved to tackle. As you said, he was a 3-year player. He's got great movement skills. He's a little bit of a project, but in the 5th round, it's a phenomenal project to take on.
Totally. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, what are you looking for in the 5th round? I mean, you added a good depth piece to your team. You added a nice project for your offensive line coach, somebody to mold and put together, and we'll see what he has. I mean, once we get into camp and put some pads on him, then we'll really know who's who in the pecking order of the 49er land. But hey, why not? That's a great pick. And once again, it fulfills a need. And I love drafting offensive linemen. That's just, as much as they're obsessed with drafting defensive linemen, I love drafting O-line. You took a quarterback at number 3 overall, traded a whole hell of a lot to get him. Now you're investing in the offensive line to protect him. Now you're investing in a running game to not take all the pressure off him. What's the easiest way to take pressure out of a quarterback? Don't let him throw the ball. See Jimmy Garoppolo. See Garoppolo, Jimmy, for reference. But in all honesty, though, so you're not putting all the pressure on the kid early if he ends up needing to start earlier. And that's exactly what they did with Big Ben back in 2004. They ran the ball a lot in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And that's how because everyone talks about this early success Big Ben had. And a lot of that is because they had a hell of a running game. So the 49ers, I'm looking for them to have a hell of a running game going forward. And this is another great pick that really drives that home. What was your grade on that? I didn't catch it.
You know what? I gave it a B. Okay. Good project, solid. 5th round. I like it. We had 3 5s. Let's move to our next pick in the 5th round. Pick 155.
I love this pick.
You know what? I should have watched an interview. How do you say this guy's first name? They're calling him Demo.
They call him Demo. It's like Deommodore.
Let's call him Demo.
Yeah, Demo.
Lenoir.
Yeah.
Is it Lenoir? Is it French? Lenoir?
I don't know. I don't
You know
know.
what? I should have watched.
I
the
don't.
interview
Now people
before.
won't trust my analysis. You know what I mean? Like this guy can't even say his name. What an idiot. You know. But whatever. You're not too far off.
What'd you see from this guy, and what grade did you give the pick?
Love the pick. A+ pick. Love it. Absolutely. I mean, once again, we're in the 5th round. What are you looking for? This is a guy with a tremendous amounts of athletic upside. He's dripping with ability. He's almost 6 foot tall, just a hair under, about 200 pounds. 4'4", 34.5-inch vert, 10 foot 1 inch broad jump. He's quick and everyone, people give me a hard time when Jeff, you're always about stats and numbers and all that stuff. Yeah, but when the stats match the tape, then that's how you know something's real. Because you could have the Vernon Golston workout where this guy's an absolute freak, and then all of a sudden times to put on pads, it's like, hey, it looks like Tarzan, plays like Jane. Well, with this with this guy, I mean his statistical numbers as far as his athletic ability from his pro day matches tape. This is a very quick and explosive athlete. He's just really sticky in coverage. He really latches onto people. Hell of a man corner. I think that they're actually looking to play some man coming up in this defense. I think that's gonna be the new wrinkle to the defense. And
that's kind of the D'Amico Ryans shift.
I think
philosophical shift between Saleh and D'Amico. Saleh liked to play. I mean, Saleh mixed it up, but he liked to play a lot of zone. And now I see what you're saying. It's looking like D'Amico might be more of a man guy.
I think he's more of a man kind of guy. And, whereas as well in the offense, they're having a little bit of a philosophical shift to some power run, maybe some inside zone stuff. And on the defense, they're going to do their own thing as well. And so you can just see with the players that they have already on the roster, the 2 guys that they drafted specifically from corner, there's another DB they drafted. It looks like that's what they're looking to do. So, I mean, once again, late 5th round pick. I mean, this is fantastic. I mean, he Pac-12 starter. He was fantastic. He was great. I love the pick, and he's a ball hawk, man. This guy is a playmaker. You watch this guy on tape. I mean, just look up some highlights of this guy. I mean, you will see. One-handed interceptions and stuff. I mean, this guy, he's a gamer.
Punching really the ball out. I saw him causing some forced fumbles, just knocking the ball loose.
He's aggressive to the football. He's always around the football, aggressive to it. Not the best come up tackler. So he doesn't play the run game super well.
I disagree with you there, because I thought he was a phenomenal tackler. I thought he was gritty and tough. I really thought that this could be our next guy in the slot, because you know how we use K1. We blitz him. We ask him to play tough in the run. And that's what I think Lenoir can bring to the table. I almost think that that's one of his best strengths.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll have to take another look at it, man, because some of the stuff I saw when he was playing in some run support, I was a little bit underwhelmed. But, maybe I didn't watch the right games because, I only watched a little bit of film on him, to be honest. I'm not trying to come out and say I'm the isto facto expert on this player. Couldn't even pronounce his name. So, but from what I saw, I saw a great secondary guy. But I didn't see. I wasn't like this guy shies away from contact. He's one of those type of DBs, and he just won't tackle. I just wasn't as impressed. But maybe I didn't. Like I said, maybe I didn't watch the right games, and maybe what you watched was different. So.
That's why I brought you on. We have different opinions of these guys, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to talk sports, talk Niners. If you're watching this, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. And in fact, I think Lenoir, as I said, slot, but even he feels like a guy who might be able to transition to free safety, just from what I was watching.
Absolutely. This guy is scheme and position versatile for sure. Yes. It'll be interesting to see where they try him out. One of the things, these are difficult positions. Free safety is a very difficult position to play. Corner is one of the hardest positions to play in all of football. Really, one of the hardest in all sports. And
that's why I respect what Jimmy Ward does so much, because he plays free safety. Then we ask him to come down in the slot and cover.
Totally.
Cover the slot. It's a difficult job. It's a tough position to play.
And they've moved him from, like you said, from nickel to safety, back and forth, and that's really
outside.
really difficult.
He was outside corner for a year.
That's not typical for a player to be able to do that well. You really need to pick a position for a guy and see if he can develop into it. And, so it'll be interesting to see. We'll find out in camp.
Yeah,
where they
you know
have
what?
him.
We've done that while we're on that topic. We've done that with Tarvarius Moore too.
Totally.
Yep. Corner, safety. I mean, you wonder if it kind of screws with him. Daniel Brunskill's play, but that I almost kind of like that because it's good. Sometimes it's good to have guys who know how to play every position on the field. But there is something to letting him develop his camaraderie and just lock down one position.
Totally. Yeah, because he doesn't have tons and tons and tons of experience, and you're coming from the Pac-12 to the NFL. So you'd like to see him, lock down one position and try to master that. It's the adage, jack of all trades, master of none. I'd like to have you be a master of a position on this defense, and with that type of athletic ability, and he's a gamer. God, I love his tape. He's really exciting to watch. There's good potential for him to really turn into something. That's what I like about these picks. And also with Ambry Thomas, these guys could potentially be starters. These are guys, I'm not saying they will, but I'm saying that they have the potential to actually be a starter down the line on this team. And so it's really the reason why I'm grading them so high isn't just because I have an SF on my hat. It is because, you're getting people with that level of potential this late in the draft. It's awesome value.
I agree, Jeff. We had another pick in the fifth round. We got 3 fifth-round picks, and it was pick 180. Talanoa Hufanga.
Hufanga. I love the name.
I love the name.
Polynesian dude. Yeah, Polynesian dude, originally from Oregon, went to USC. So he's a box safety. So that's who he is. He reminds me a little bit of like Jimmy Ward. Or no, sorry. Shoot. Why is
Jamal
my name?
Adams.
Yeah, more.
That's who I was getting some flashes of some Jamal Adams.
Why? Yeah, why did that name escape me? I just strong safety for us during the Jim Harbaugh era.
Dante Whitner.
Dante Whitner. Yeah, Dante
Whitner. Deshaun Goldson. I mean, both those guys were really some thumpers. They will pop you.
He seems like a thumper. He's a real physical guy, man. He will hit dudes in the mouth. And he was ridiculous production in college. Ridiculous production. 203 tackles, 6.5 sacks, four forced fumbles, and 4 interceptions. Pat Tillman Award winner as well. He's just extremely aggressive. Physical downhill safety play. So you love he can he can cover tight ends, out and do things like that. So he's versatile in what he can do. He can be an extra guy and run support. He would be a fantastic special teams player out the gate. I loved that. This is a guy, they're thinking about that, which is cool too, because this is a guy, man, he really could make some noise on special team units. So yeah, I mean, people want to knock him for some of his 40. I hate knocking guys just on their 40 alone. It's like, turn on the tape and see what kind of player this is first. 4.61 40, but look at some of this other stuff. 10.8 broad jump, 35.5-inch vert, and then he has 6.87 3-cone. So that he's an explosive athlete. This is once again, like we were saying with Trey Sermon, that torque monster, that low end type of energy player. That's who this guy is too. He's not going to blow you away and as far as being a downfield long striding runner, but he can move 10 yards quick. And he can lay a lick on somebody, and he can cover, larger receivers, which we're seeing, that big slot guy, and also tight ends as well. So he has a lot of ability, and he played really, really well, and he had a lot of production. So you can tell he's a gamer as well. So they took guys that really are game time players, which is cool too. What do you think? I gave it an A.
I gave it an A, Jeff. And I really, this might be my favorite pick. Definitely. I think of the 5th round guys, this is my favorite pick. What I noticed is how instinctive this guy is. This guy is so instinctive. He has a knack for getting to the ball. He sniffs out screens. He's great at the line of scrimmage. Shoots the gap on the run. This guy is a tackle for loss monster. He was shooting the gap, getting all these tackles for losses. I saw him get a sack. It was against the Oregon right tackle. And This guy gave the right tackle a hezzy and just beat him to the outside clean, sacked the quarterback. And I was like, whoa, you can do that? You can be my box safety anytime.
Yeah.
He's a guy who's going to learn from Tart for a year, play special teams, and he's a potential Tart replacement down the road.
Once again, another guy who could potentially start or be a significant role player on the team and play special teams right away and contribute. Guy that could legitimately make the 53 here at the end of the 5th round. I mean, that's amazing value, especially on a team that has some good talent on it. Yeah, I love a guy like him. He's a tone setter. He's a type of guy that, that's why I thought of Whitner when I looked at him, because, he was such a tone setter. I think about Whitner in that Saints game when he just trucked Reggie Bush in the I think it was the playoffs. God, he's that kind of guy. He's he'll run around, he'll shoot gaps.
Dante Whitner, he knocked out Pierre Thomas lights out. Knocked him out mid-game.
Yeah. He was that kind of, but it was that physicality that defense was known for. And he was such a big part of that identity. I think very underrated as far as his contribution to that identity. And here's a guy that can, even if he's not a starter in our defense next year, he could definitely be a starter in special teams and a good role player and bring that to every facet that we're doing. So now we're being physical on offense, physical on defense, physical on special teams. And I love that.
Absolutely.
How's that for a finesse offense,
No, we went power and physical the whole draft, up and down the board.
And injury clean.
And yes, that's important because we know we had some injury issues last year. To that point, actually, probably Hufanga might be the only guy with a bit of injury concern. 2 broken collarbones.
Yes.
While at USC, so that might be the only guy. But what everything else I saw, he's so instinctive in how he played at the line of scrimmage. I'm confident, and I'm really happy with the pick. I gave it an A.
Yeah, I can see why you did it, man. I gave it an A as well. I really dug the pick.
Let's move to our last pick of the draft. It was in the 6th round, pick 194, Eli Mitchell out of Louisiana, running back. 2 running backs this draft. I was not expecting that.
Yeah. No, I wasn't expecting it either. I was like, wow, now we have 7 running backs on the roster. So it'll be interesting to see what we do. So caught a little flack for this on Twitter, which is fine. I'll take my licks. But I'm like, why the hell would we draft Eli Mitchell right now? We have 6 running backs on the roster. I mean, this guy's not going to doesn't have a chance to make the team. And so I will say, it was our last pick of the draft. Thank God. And it's nothing against him as a player. I like him as a player. I looked up a bunch of stuff on him. He's a stud, dude. But this was my least favorite pick of the draft. I gave it a B-. Just because, does it fill a need, and where is this guy going to fit in? How is he going to get involved? Does he play special teams? No, he's never really played special teams. And so it was, because that's what I was thinking. Oh, maybe he's a kick returner or something, And,
yeah, you know what? And that's what, it's funny you mentioned that, because while I didn't even look up if he did it or not in college, but when I was watching the highlights of him, I was like, man, this guy looks like, with the 4.38 40, right? It's like, man, put this guy on kick return, because he's got some thick, powerful legs.
He does.
He's gonna break some arm tackles. He had a phenomenal broad jump, and the broad jump really showcases some of that power. And what I liked about him is he looked like I gave the pick a B. Okay. And what I liked about him, he looks like not only can he hit the outside with his speed, but he was squeezing through some holes on the inside. So I think he's an inside outside runner that could do both of those.
Yeah, so he kind of reinforces some of what they were doing with wanting to go inside a little bit more with the run game. So I see it. I'm like, you signed Gallman in free agency just a few weeks ago and stuff, and it's just like, but you paid this guy all this money. You're gonna cut him. You're gonna walk. I mean, I don't know. In the press conference, because they were asking,
it was a weird pick. They were like 2 running backs, and they said, look, I believe it was Shanahan talking. He's like, we didn't go into this draft thinking we were going to take 2 running backs, but that's just how the board played out. He was the top guy on their board.
Yeah, fair enough.
A running back coach might have loved this guy. Who knows? But yeah, you do have to wonder, is Gallman going to make the roster? I don't think Hasty is even. Yeah, I wasn't a huge Hasty guy to begin with, but I think he's out of the picture now.
Oh, Hasty's gone. Yeah, Hasty's out of the picture entirely. I mean, there's no way. There's just no room for him.
I mean, maybe the practice squad, but no, he's not going to be on the active roster week 1.
No, not there's. I just can't. I can't really see that happening.
If we're given the draft, Jeff, a cumulative score, which I mean, it's got to be good because neither you nor I gave out anything lower. My lowest grade was a B-. I mean, so
that was my lowest grade. Yeah. So my lowest grade went to Eli Mitchell. And real quick. I mean, Shea Smith from South Carolina was available when we took him. And I like him, man. I like him a lot. He's a hell of a player.
Man, you know what? Wide receiver was a position that I felt like I scouted pretty well, and I was actually clamoring for a different wide receiver. That was Cade Johnson. I wanted Cade Johnson.
Okay.
I believe he's out of South Dakota, but we didn't elect him. Shea Smith, I was a little bit lower on Shea Smith, but I can see I feel your need for kind of that slot. Which almost we just laid out their whole draft right there. So now just to kind of change directions a little bit, I was trying to check out, what free agent receivers are available, right? Just to see if there's anyone out there. We didn't draft one. And a few guys that popped out at me, Danny Amendola, right? Little slot guy. He's been around.
Yeah.
Golden Tate, which I've heard Golden Tate is intriguing. I've heard something that he's said, he was a Seahawk. He said something, I would never play for the Niners, but we'll see. When you're late in your career, you might,
Until you're looking at a contract and you don't have one. Whatever. All that raw team nonsense. That's not how the NFL works, man. NFL is about the automatic dollar, man. If you're sitting on your couch trying to figure out how you're going to, feed your kids, well, I'm sure if any NFL team offers him a contract, he will take it. I'm sure he's well, I'm not a Niner fan. And that's not how it works. I don't buy that for a second. So, and I don't worry about it either. So
so those are a couple guys that we could look at, in free agency. There's still some players out there. But one guy I'm excited that we brought in as an undrafted free agent, and he was a guy we did our mock draft. I mocked him. I picked him in our mock in the 4th round. So getting him as an undrafted guy, it was Austin Watkins, wide receiver, who I like. Maybe he could be a Bourne replacement. He's a bigger bodied guy, 6'1", but he's thicker.
Totally.
He shows some downfield ability, some intermediate range.
I was happy that they at least went in undrafted free agency and picked up a guy like that, and fill out some of these receivers and, at least get some guys into camp and
let's see what they got.
Yeah, for sure. You got really almost nothing to lose. At that point, it's the cheapest way to acquire an asset. So, they still address that need, at least through undrafted free agency, which was happy. Overall, God, they did a great job. This is probably the overall top to bottom best 49er draft I've ever seen. It was the best, and by far the best of the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch tenure. Obviously, we need to wait a few years to really figure out if that's true. But the thing about it, man, because I've been a 49er fan for a long time. All right. I mean, I'm 35 years old, been one my whole life. And I've seen some bad regimes, seen some stuff, man, been through some stuff. We all have, right? And, the big, how do I put this? What I look for when I'm tracking the team is, or at least the moves that they're making, do they make sense? Can you track the thought process and what they're trying to do? Can you at least understand where they're coming from? And with this draft, I see exactly what they're trying to do. You don't have to be a slick draft analyst to be able to understand what it is that they're trying to do. Just look at the players.
Bigger, stronger, powerful.
Powerful. and you could see what they're trying to do at corner. You could see what they're trying to do with the run game. You could see what they're trying to do, and their quarterback that they selected is a big part of that. They knew the identity of this football team. The other guys that they selected are, physical, tough, thumpers. I mean, they're trying to get, tougher and meaner on this squad. And it makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. And I don't think I don't look at this draft and go, wow, they made a bad pick. Even though I beat up Eli Mitchell, I just don't know how he makes the team. Even the practice squad. How does he make the practice squad? It just but you know what? It's a 6th round pick. I can't dock him too hard. The guy's got a ton of ability, ton of production, so I'm not going to hate on him. But top to bottom, man, I mean, I'm just looking at this. I mean, where's the bad pick? I don't see one. I don't see a bad pick on here. Whereas, I mean, we lived through that bulky stuff, man. We had some bad picks.
It was, there were a lot of bad drafts. A lot of bad just drafts in general.
They were just bulky. And you're just left there as a fan, as an educated fan, and you're going, well, what are they doing? What direction is this team going? What were these players drafted for? What are they trying to do? And I just, these other, disorganized franchises just kind of throw shit at a wall and see what sticks. And these guys, it really seems like that they had a real plan for this draft. They had a theme to this draft. They're going, this is what we want to accomplish overall with this group of players we're going to bring in. Now, what players do we need to bring in to accomplish that? And so they worked with the end result that they wanted, and they worked it backwards. And I think it worked. I'm very, very impressed. So a lot of guys that can make the squad, and overall, I gave it an A. I mean, how could you not?
Absolutely. I gave it an A-, and I'm just being harsh.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good to be a little harsh. I mean, I was trying to be a little bit nicer, but because I'm trying to see what they see. You know what I mean? And it's like, just because we did our mock draft, and I didn't get one player right. I didn't get one player right, but if you go back to the mock draft and rewatch that, you'll see the same theme of the types of players that they're taking, the positions that they're taking, what they're looking for. The theme was on point. We nailed the theme. You and I had a similar mock draft, and we nailed the theme. And I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but then again, yeah, I am. So we nailed the theme. And look, I mean, how many draftable players are there? I mean, so a lot of teams get it down to about 150, 160 guys every year that they deem to be draftable players. And so it's hard to pick, 8 dudes out of 160, If you can do that, start picking lotto numbers.
Hey, Jeff, I'm so happy you were able to join me in our draft recap.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out, and we got to do this again sometime.
Oh, absolutely, man. We'll keep the Niner content rolling, man. Thanks for letting me come on your show and continue to be a guest, man. It's always a pleasure. I'm really stoked I got to see and hear from you directly what you felt about this draft and your breakdown of all these players, because I love your take on it. And thanks again for having me on, and thanks for everybody for listening today. Give this guy a like, subscribe to the channel, follow him on Twitter, because this guy's on point. He knows what's up. And I learn everything I know from him. So we'll just go with that.
Hey, Jeff, you're the man. Follow Jeff on Twitter @the Jeff Hardison. We'll catch you next time.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening.